press conference with head coach Terry Bowden. This week, Akron closes out Mid-American Conference play at Ohio on Friday, November 23rd at noon. Coach, would you like to start with an opening statement?
Yes, we kind of, again, it seems like the last few weeks it's the initial opening. This is just another tough loss. Ball game that we're in, had a chance to win and could not do what we had to do at the end of the game. It's been a struggle offensively for us since Cato went out a little after halftime against Northern Illinois. We had about 26 points and still doing some things, and we've struggled to find ourselves offensively, either with a backup or with him in his limited status. And so we move forward. Defense played well enough to win, although they, again, gave up some scoring drives in the end against Bowling Green. But, this is the season. Every season is different. This one is about our kids dealing with these difficult losses at the end and overcoming them and looking forward to the next game and focusing on the next game. And it's been a lot of close ball games, and last game was one like it. We just got to keep fighting and get our heads up, and we've gotten ourselves ready, and because we know we've got a tough game against Ohio this week, and but we are already into a game plan and getting ready to go. And it's a short week, so we're already into our game plan. But the players know the opportunity out there and what we're facing, in a very good Ohio team, very much like last season going into this game. But I see nothing to indicate the players have played hard every game, and they've played hard to the end. Like I say, we've had some games that lately not play out in the second half like we hoped they would.
How big of a risk, in hindsight, was it playing for?
I think there's, again, we don't, when you talk about risk, do you risk harming him on a permanent basis or long-term basis? We couldn't do that without the trainers and doctors. He has an injury that is sore, but not one that they felt could be damaged to further damage him. I mean, could he be banged up so he's more sore, and now you lose him? I'm sure there's always that risk, but we don't really make that decision as coaches. One, we let the trainers and doctors make it, and then the player has to make it, and then we try to go with what we have the best. And the difficult thing is a fully healthy backup quarterback in a position to is he going to give you a better chance to win than limited Cato? But Cato wanted to play, and it's again. Like I say, we make a few. We have two turnovers and a fake punt, puts us in position to score points. Cato hits a perfect takeoff, we drop, that would have put us ahead. I mean, it was as perfect as you could throw, and that puts us ahead, and we didn't make the play. And so what we've got to do is, and then we didn't run the ball well enough. There were certain times we got the ball there. So again, I think to go back to your question, I don't think we would ever put him in a position where he would be in a position to damage himself from a long-term basis. The question is, can he be effective enough right then and there?
I guess the question is, did he give you your best chance to win?
Yeah, I think so. I do think I have no qualms about answering that question. I think he gave us the best chance to win. He's got the experience. He's played in some big games. He was throwing the ball very well during practice, and he was not totally completely able to throw the ball as well as he can, but he was close. And so I think he gave us the best chance. Now we'll look at each play and see how he progresses, see how Alex progresses as we go forward.
So he's day by day.
Yeah, I mean, he practices day by day, but it's kind of like you just said, which quarterback gives us the best chance to win, and we'll evaluate it each and every day.
Are you even, at this point, thinking about projecting ahead to scenarios where you can get into a bowl?
Now, you know what? You have got so much focus on this one ball game, and don't get me wrong. I think players, they add up. They can add 4 and 2 and add up what that could mean, and what that could mean to them and 2 Power 5 teams and all those things that they out there. But I think is when you have a team that's fought real hard and lost, Northern Illinois and Eastern Michigan and Bowling Green now, pretty much late in the game when they played hard, they come out prepared, played hard, and got away from. They know they want to make sure they play just well. I don't think we have enough any need to think beyond Ohio to get ready for Ohio. They bring enough problems themselves. They're playing really good football right now. I think you look at Ohio, you look at their schedule, you take the first 6 games, you draw a line, and you look at their last 5 games, and it's almost 2 different teams. From a statistical standpoint, from an offensive standpoint, from a defensive standpoint, you see 2 different teams. And the one that's playing right now is the one that I think was preseason pick number 1 in our division.
Typically, though, you guys have played them very close. The question is, why? Why does this team get up for that game?
I don't know if it's get up or, and I've asked that question to my coaches. It just seems, and I won't just apply this to us, it seems that certain teams in this conference match up very well with other teams. And I think it's more not about getting up or talent as it is about scheme. Certain coaches live and die by their certain schemes and when they come up against that same team, those same variables go against each other, and it ends up being very much the same. Ours with Ohio goes back to my first and second year here when we had different players. Not a single player on the field is there for either team, and yet the games played out very close. And last year was the first year we had beaten them. Now we come in struggling offensively with our quarterback situation, and they come in they've scored over 50 points 3 out of the last 4 games, and defensively they've done pretty well as well. So we'll see if that matchup applies.
A hypothetical question.
Uh-huh.
Does it bother you that it seems with your teams it's either the offense is clicking and the defense is struggling, or the defense is clicking and the offense is struggling, and it's usually due to inexperience more than anything else?
Yeah, when you put it all together is what you'd like to see it, and that's when you've got everything going. When the maturity level on offense matches the maturity level on defense. We haven't been to that point yet where we had everything gelled together. And again, I think we're very close this year, but offensively, you have an injury here, a lineman injury there, or a quarterback, and you don't quite get there. But you know what? Some days, the way I look at this conference, some days you just got to win with offense, or some days you just got to win with defense. There's 2 games that stick out in my mind that as I've studied film, because these teams are contending right now. And I mean, I was looking at the way Northern Illinois beat BYU 7-6, and it stayed 7-6 for over a half. But the defense, it didn't score. They didn't score 1 touchdown. Then I think the way Miami beat Northern Illinois 13-7, and Miami didn't score 1 offensive touchdowns like us against Bowling Green. They scored 2 field goals and a pick 6 and won 13-7. Sometimes you just got to win it one way or the other. Now, when you get to be a team that really is there, you got it clicking on both sides of the football, and I think that's what you want to happen. And when that happens, it's usually because you've got the right amount of veterans and talent on both sides of the ball that you can play, and then you play well at the same time. But that's what you strive for, to be hot on both sides of the ball, and sometimes you can't see it. Sometimes your offense is not playing well, so the other team gets a 10 or 12 point lead, and they slow it down. It looks like it's okay on the other side. Other times you're not stopping, and so the other team's offense just is going crazy trying to score points, and you get an offensive scoring match, and so a lot of variables work into it. But I think the key is right now, is to play a complete ball game, not just offense, defense, and kicking. We won the turnover. We struggled with turnovers this year. Well, last game we won the turnover battle 2-0, and then you look at the fake punt. That's kind of like a turnover. We get another big play there, but we still didn't have enough going for us offensively.
What have you seen? And I assume you had to look at film already,
Right.
of Ohio's defense so far.
Well, the last 5, I told you it's a tale of 2 seasons. The last 5 games, I want to say they've given up 14, 14, 14, 17, and then Miami got 30 when they lost 30-28. But that 14, 14, 14, 17 is what they've done against conference opponents. And usually when you keep it in the teens or under, you got a good chance to win the football game. And so they've always been a very a smart defense. They don't give up cheap stuff. They're where they're supposed to be. They're nasty, and I say that in a positive way. They're nasty. They'll get after you. They create turnovers, and they just play hard football. And it was very unusual because the first 6 games, I think every team had over 400 yards of offense and tons of points. But I can say they did what you want to do. They gelled toward the end, and now they're playing a different level of football. And so they've been consistent. Other than, I think Miami, the way Miami put points on them early and got ahead of them was the one thing the one little blemish in the second half of the season, because they've won their other games, and they've won their other games by big margins.
How do you stop Rourke?
You know, you just limit him. You just have to limit him. You know, they're going to run the football. They're going to run the option. They're going to lead option, and he's going to carry the football most of the time because you're trying to cover that pitch guy. They don't ever give it to very often, but when they do give it to you is when you don't cover him. But you got to be able to tackle Rourke. You know, he's going to get his share. That you got to keep on pounding until you get a feel for it. Last week, I want to say we were down 21-7 maybe at the beginning, and then we began to get a feel for how they were running, and we began to shut them down offensively. And I think that's a little bit about what we need to do. But I don't think you totally stop him. He's a very, very good runner. And then what they do, they run. They're so committed to the run. When you come up to stop it, they'll hit you for a big play in the passing game. And so, again, anytime you got a very good football player leading the team, you want to limit the damage. You don't necessarily have the ability to stop it completely. You just want to limit the damage.
How much of a concern, Coach, is the mental part of the game? You've talked all year when you guys have lost about there are seemingly a key possession or two, either offensively or defensively, when you didn't quite get the job done. Are you worried at all about the team's confidence in that regard?
No, I think anytime you lose, you spend most of your time with the coach working on confidence. All right, building up. Come on, men, you've got to believe. You've got to continue to believe that you do your best, good things are going to happen. If you don't do that, then that point in time which things turn around never turn around. You don't know where it's going to be, at what point it happens, or what game that it happens. But you've got to make sure you keep convincing your players to keep plugging away and keep laying the brick, you know, and it'll come. And so I don't know that you ever can stop that. Anytime you have a couple of adversities, you now have to deal with confidence, and again, that's human nature. I think players get over it much better than coaches. Coaches, to us coaches, this is life and death. It's our job. It's what we live and do, and it's our profession. For players, they kind of get back in the groove pretty quick and respond a lot better. But that is important to come into a game. I've always felt that when you get a program turned around, like we did at Akron, it's turning the culture around, and that's a subconscious feeling that you're going to lose. No matter what happens, someone's going to happen. You're going to lose, and that's that thing you get around. Then all of a sudden it can come back. You know, I relay it to any of us amateur golfers who get out on a golf course and shank two off the tee box 2 in a row. The next time you walk up to that tee box, that club don't feel real good in your hands until you hit a good shot, and that's kind of the way football is. The way life is. And so, but you just keep plugging away. You keep trying to do it right, and eventually it'll happen. And so we've been so close. And this team has its burden to bear. It has to carry the load that this is the path we have to go through this year. And so these guys know. I keep telling these guys, just keep working, and good things will happen. And we're going to be a better program, a better football team because of it.
But realistically,
Uh-huh.
at the mid-major level, looking to somewhere that's a Power 5 like Ohio State, you got a guy like Burrow transfer. He's done well at LSU, and of course they've got a pretty good quarterback now. But at a mid-major, people can talk all they want to about depth, but how challenging is it for you in your situation? Cato gets hurt to bring in a guy that's
Yeah.
capable, even close to being capable. Is that a real, in your opinion, veteran guy? Is that a realistic expectation at mid-major level to be able to have a number 2 guy who can step in there and be close to your number 1 guy?
I think first of all, most every coach in the MAC will tell you a lot of this stuff boils down to the luck of who has key people get injured, because we don't have the depth that we would have at a Power 5 level most of the time. And so the number one thing is that you cross your fingers and you hope that key people don't get hurt, because you don't have a number of those kind of people. If you would, you'd see us all having 8 or 9 guys drafted every year, and it would be the same thing year after year after year. That being said, you can't control that. But what you can control is trying to have a number 2 quarterback ready to go. Have a number 2 quarterback, and I think that's what you've got to try to do. Our biggest thing we've got to do is get Alex Ramart ready to go. There's a lot of sophomore, redshirt freshman quarterbacks forced into playing time around the country. Now, you get ready to go, and if we call your number, you be ready, and that's for other positions well. You know, Nate Stewart did not play in that game Saturday. Jonah Morris came out after one series. He caught a pass and came out with a stomach virus of some type and didn't play the rest of the game, went to the hospital. They thought it might be appendicitis. It was just an infection that he had some antibiotics for, but he didn't play. And so now who's going to step up? You know, Jeremiah Knight has to step up, or Scipio has to step up. And so those are the things that it's not so much that you can control who gets injured or who's not playing, because we all going to have some go, and then it's the luck of the draw. And that's the one thing we all just cross our fingers, you know, and hope the right guy doesn't get down. But what we all continually prepare for is try to have a backup ready to go. Most importantly, at quarterback, can you have a backup ready to go in there and play winning football? If you're up by 21, 27 points and your quarterback goes out for a series or two, you can put a walk-on in and hand off. But when you lose one for a game or two and you got to go out there at the middle of in this conference, go out there late in your season, and you've got to win a conference game or two to get bowl eligible, you better have enough backups that can go out and play. And that's what we all strive for, knowing that we don't quite get it as well as we would at a Power 5 level.
What's the challenging part of game planning offensively when you know Cato has these limitations? His running ability's been an important part of your offense.
Yeah,
all year.
I think as you go through it, you try to do things that will get rid of the ball quickly, and you try to make sure you just want to run the ball better without him having to run it, knowing that the defense, that's one less guy they have to worry about as they're closing in on the other carrier. And again, he's getting better every day. We're not, if he's going to play, his effectiveness is running and throwing the football, and not just him, any quarterback, that just because they're not a great runner, they have to have the ability to run when the defense makes it wide open. You know, we've seen plenty of quarterbacks in our league. They don't run it a whole lot, but when it's there, they've got to get it. So, but that's what we have to do the best job of trying to do other things well if he can't run it well, and if he can't can't do it well enough, get Alex Remart ready to play.
Given some of the circumstances that you sort of laid out,
Uh-huh.
some of the tough losses and just Cato getting injured, how big would a win over Ohio to sort of wrap up MAC play and set yourself up at least
Yeah.
to potentially be bowl eligible with the South Carolina game mean to sort of?
Well, they become bigger. I mean, we could have asked this question about Northern Illinois. How big is this one? Because that puts you at this point. You could have said that about Eastern Michigan. You said that about Bowling Green. Obviously, each one of them could put you in a one game away from situation or one game closer to being bowl eligible or having a non-losing season. And so now it becomes, does Ohio become bigger? Well, it's our last conference game, so yeah, it becomes even more back to the wall type of situation. But again, it's not about our guys being all anxious about all the burden of them. Let's go out and correct our mistakes, have fun playing football, but play our best football. Everybody do your part. It's like George said today, putting the offense together when the defense is playing well, and the defense with the offense, and then winning the kicking game. You know, we fake a punt, but we make a poor decision, and we have two balls on the 1 yard line. We have to pull out of the end zone last week that pretty much killed the drives or the quarter, because we downed the ball on the 1 yard line. With both those times, we probably could have either taken it in the end zone or caught the ball on maybe the 10 yard line. And so those are a couple of kicking game things that can win with a kicking game as well. We faked a punt. That was huge for us, you know, but it only led to 3 points.